Good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Wednesday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about tonight, but before we get into that, let's go on and give ourselves a round of applause for making it through halfway through the work week. It is Wednesday evening, just Thursday and Friday left to go. We are there. We just got, like I said, just got to get through these next 2 days, and we will be at the weekend finally. That's number one. Number two, what's on tap for tonight? Well, increasing rain chances start tonight, build into Thursday with breezy to windy conditions. Widespread rainfall late Thursday through Friday, beneficial for our drought that is currently going on throughout the state. Rain tapers off Friday/Saturday from northwest to southeast, and warm and dry weekend follows with above normal temperatures. And we'll also talk about a bit about next week as well, and maybe even a little cold air damming setup as we go into next week. So all of that being in place, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Right now we have around a good 6 people watching, only 4 likes, so go and hit the like button if you have not already. Also go and hit the subscribe button. We're at 709 trying to get to 800. If you have not hit the subscribe button already, please do so. It is free and you can change your mind at any time if you want to. Also share, even if you've been here since day one, since I started this channel, there is a good chance that you may have not sent it to somebody yet, or maybe you just have some people who just won't subscribe. Keep on messaging them. Keep on asking them to go on and subscribe because it's free and it helps us out. And not only does it help me out, helps the channel out, it helps you guys out as well because it helps get better content out. So, not only, like I said, will it help benefit me, but also will benefit the viewers, y'all, as well. So that's all I have to say in terms of the beginning of this stream and the intro. But let's go on and actually get into the actual forecast. So starting off, what is currently going on throughout the state of South Carolina? Well, right now, we have some activity going on, mainly inside the upstate. You see, for the most part, some shower activity going on near Greenville, near Piedmont, up there just to the far western part of the state. Far upstate, Westminster is included, Lockhart, Spartanburg. These areas all receiving some isolated shower activity. But if we go on and look at the entire U.S., obviously that all cannot be said because we have rainfall. Not only throughout South Carolina, North Carolina is receiving some rainfall. Kentucky is receiving some rainfall. Tennessee is receiving some rainfall. Snowfall going on up here inside the Northeast. New York going on inside of Vermont as well. You also have some rainfall and some snowfall going on over here inside of Iowa. You have some rainfall in Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, parts of Oklahoma. You have some rainfall going on up here inside of the very far western part of the state. But if you go on and look at our cloud cover now for just the state, because pretty much there's nothing else really going on throughout the entire nation convection-wise. But if we go on and look at it, cloud cover, everybody is covered with cloud cover right now. Everybody is. Doesn't matter if you're in the upstate, Midlands, low country, PD areas, doesn't matter. You are most likely covered with clouds right now. Now for our cloud cover going into the future. Obviously, we go in and push this forward, and that heavy cloud cover will continue. We go all the way through 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, going all the way into the noon time frame on Thursday. We still stay cloudy. Now, once we get into tomorrow afternoon, 4, 5, 6 o'clock p.m., you have some cloud cover now moving its way over into the east a little bit, and you actually start to see some clear spots maybe trying to open up a little bit in the upstate by the time you get into around 7 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, maybe even 6 o'clock p.m. And that goes all the way to 10 o'clock p.m., 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning. Cloud cover kind of retakes that clear spot that we were just seeing up there inside the upstate on Friday at midnight. Continuing through, this is Friday morning, still mostly cloudy. And, even once we get to 7 o'clock p.m. on Friday, we're still mostly cloudy with some clear spots still going on in that same spot in the very far upstate. Now for our current temperatures, right now you have current temperatures at around a good 53 in Somerville, 55 in Charleston, as well as 55 in Beaufort, 56 in Hilton Head Island, as well as good 54 in Georgetown, 55 inside of Murrells Inlet, and 54 in Conway and Myrtle Beach, 56 in Orangeburg, and 56 in Sumter, 57 in Columbia, and 57 in Aiken, 57 Florence, Bennettsville, 55 in Newbury, Greenwood, Union, Lancaster, 55, all from Gaffney all the way throughout Rock Hill, 52 in Clemson, 51 in Greenville. Now for our air quality, if you remember, we were just looking at some unhealthy for sensitive groups conditions this morning, and that has now, gone away, but there is still a moderate area for, air quality being not good throughout a good amount of the state. Areas like eastern parts of Columbia is in that good category. Other areas, let me go and zoom in a little bit over here. Like Eastover, Elgin. These areas are in good categories. Augusta, Jackson, South Carolina, these areas, good. Everybody else, moderate. So, it's not bad. Moderate's not, abnormal or anything like that, but not quite in that perfect 0 to 5 or 0 to 50 category that, what we may be hoping for. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around a good 49 in Greenville, 49 in Spartanburg, as well as 50 in Rock Hill, 53 in Cheraw, as well as 52 in Dillon, 53 Florence, and 52 in Myrtle Beach, 50 in Georgetown, as well as 52 Moncks Corner in Charleston, 52 Walterboro, and 54 Hilton Head Island, 54 in Orangeburg, Aiken, as well as 53 in Barnwell, 52 in Greenwood, and 52 in Newbury, 50 Anderson and Lawrence as well. High temperatures for tomorrow, you have around a good 62 in Greenville, 61 Spartanburg, as well as 60 in Rock Hill, 64 in Cheraw and Dillon, as well as 65 in Florence, 65 also in Georgetown, and 63 in Myrtle Beach, 68 in Moncks Corner, and 64 in Charleston, 70 Walterboro, 66 in Hilton Head Island, 66 in Aiken, Columbia, 68 Barnwell. So, a lot of these temperatures now are starting to get back up. We're done with seeing, for right now, it will be coming back. But for right now, we're done with the 40s and the 50s for high. We're getting back up into the 60s and 70s. But like I said, it won't be permanent for now. Once we get more into that time frame to where we will start to see those temperatures, staying in the 60s and 70s for highs, we'll see once we get more and more into like March, for example. But for right now, we're not done with it yet. Now for our rainfall. Good amount of rainfall, definitely, as we move throughout the next 24 hours. This is total precipitation accumulations as we go throughout the next 24 hours. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch goes in for Walterboro, Kingstree, Georgetown, Myrtle Beach. 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch goes in for Moncks Corner, Orangeburg, Aiken, Florence, Dillon, Sumter. Quarter of an inch to a half an inch goes on for Winsboro, Camden, Newbury, Greenwood's included, Lawrence is included, as well as Anderson. Half an inch to an inch goes on for Greenville, Spartanburg, and Rock Hill. So again, that's just in terms of total precipitation amounts throughout the next 24 hours. And so again, it's an estimate, it's a forecast. It's not, you may see a bit more, you may see a bit less. Just determines on what happens and how the rainfall decides it wants to go. What about the crazy score? If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And right now we are at a 20. Why are we at a 20? Well, for the most part, it's really just because it's not only going to be a bit breezy tonight, not only going to be a bit breezy, gusts 15, 20 miles per hour, so, not bad, but mainly inside of those upstate areas, those open areas for the most part. And, other areas will definitely be lighter than that and more calm. But also, there may be like a little bit of a chance, for some sprinkles and some light rain. We'll talk about that as well once we get into the models. But those are really the main threats, the main two things. But honestly, I think that that's an exact fit. Slightly breezy and definitely cloudy as well. I also forgot to mention that. Cloudy conditions that is currently ongoing. That automatically puts it up in that mild category. SPC outlook for today. Thunderstorms are not expected tonight. Thunderstorms are not expected for tonight. Tomorrow, bit of a different story. Thunderstorms now seem to be more in the question as we go into tomorrow. So the ingredients are there. Will the convection be there? That's a good question. We'll take a look at that again as we get into the models. But the ingredients are there. And we talked a bit about that last night as well. So if you didn't see that and you want to go in and see what I was talking about, you can go in and check out last night's forecast. But Friday, as we get into day 3, Friday shows up and it shows a little thunderstorm risk, not for the entire state, but more towards the southern Midlands and more towards the low country. Now, excessive rainfall, that's not expected, so we don't have to worry about any sort of flash flooding threats. In terms of fire weather as well, we're good here, so we don't have to worry about any sort of fire conditions going on throughout the state. So now the main thing, the models. What do they look like? Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that because it is very important that you do so you do not get lost. But we're going to start off here as we go on and push this forward. You can see rainfall and just that isolated shower / sprinkle activity is going on not only throughout the northern parts of the state, but maybe throughout the Midlands, maybe throughout the parts of like the very western low country potentially. That goes on at midnight tonight. I mean, just a couple hours from now. Now, we push this forward even more. This goes deeper into the nighttime, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Now we're starting to see some more of kind of like a convective, like congealment into one another. Once you get more into the like Rock Hill area, once you get more into like the Gaffney area, near the Pageland area, Chirrahua Dillon areas, those areas start to kind of see just light shower activity, not moderate rainfall. Again, just still on that lighter side for right now. Now, you go all the way through 6 o'clock in the morning, going all the way to 7 o'clock in the morning. Now that rainfall, most of it's moving over into North Carolina, but we still have some still going on at 7 o'clock in the morning. You still have some rainfall activity going throughout the low country as well, especially that Tri-County area, Dorchester, Berkeley, Charleston County at 7 a.m. You continue that all the way through, and then here's where things start to get a little bit real. You get to around 10 o'clock in the morning, and now you're seeing rainfall activity, some of it which may be moderate precipitation, is going to start moving up into the upstate areas. You go all the way into noon, 12 o'clock p.m., you now have, more of a widespread look throughout the upstate and more widespread moderate precipitation moving on throughout that area. Moving to the afternoon hours, you can see the low pressure now on the screen. And once you get all the way to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m., this is where that thunderstorm threat really takes its shape once you get into the afternoon, especially the late afternoon, to where you start to see not really a line of storms, kind of is a line of storms, but not usually when you hear somebody say line of storms, they're usually talking about strong to severe. This isn't going to be severe by any means. Strong, you can never rule out a little strong thunderstorm, even when it's just a regular risk for a thunderstorm. You never can rule out anything strong, and really you can't really rule out anything severe either because, thunderstorms, you may just have that one day to where you may have like a little severe thunderstorm warning in a spot to where it may not have been forecasted. So, but enough about that. We continue through, 5 o'clock p.m., 6 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m., and it continues to move its way over into the east all the way through until you get to around 9 p.m. That's when I go live tomorrow night. Make sure that you're there for that. You have more rainfall activity going on back in that back in like that area where it already had rained for the most part, throughout Rock Hill, throughout Gaffney, throughout parts of Spartanburg as well. Back into 9 o'clock p.m., you start to see more of the PD, the Grand Strand area starting to get their rainfall starting at around 6 o'clock p.m., trying to move its way out. But one thing that you're going to notice is a lot of that rainfall that you're seeing from Georgia is going to start moving its way from the west over into the east. And you're going to start to see some rainfall really start to move its way through. And now that, widespread light rain that we saw in parts of the upstate is now going to move its way down all the way towards the coastal areas. And so that will go all the way down. And that will be at around, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So it's going to start off raining early Friday morning throughout southern Midlands, low country, coastal areas, Grand Strand, PD areas, maybe even parts of the Midlands as well. But like when I say Midlands, I mean more like the Central Midlands, not the Southern Midlands. Southern Midlands, of course, will be included, but parts of the Central Midlands as well could also get hit with some of that rainfall. Here's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. I mean, it's going to be a rainy morning on Friday. Rainy morning on Friday for a good amount of us, except for the one part of the area who already got their rainfall, that being the upstate. They're going to remain dry throughout Friday morning. Now, you go all the way through Friday, 2 o'clock p.m., 3 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock p.m., and you kind of will start to see that rainfall trying to move its way out, and you just more see widely scattered shower activity going on from, maybe some Midland areas, maybe some low country coastal areas, and maybe even some parts of the very, very southern upstate. But that ends off there at 7 o'clock p.m. And that's where, we're just going to end it off for the short term. Just because, once you get past that 48-hour mark, that's really when it becomes more of like a medium term thing, not really too much of a long term or a short term anymore. But I do want to go and look at the lightning flash density because we're going to go on and, see what's going on in terms of this thunderstorm activity. But you go on and push this forward. I mean, you're seeing, thunderstorms up here 6 o'clock in the morning up here in Lake Tennessee. Parts of North Carolina going to start seeing some of them at 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's how early. That's how early. But when will it get into South Carolina? I mean, like I said, once you get to that afternoon, noon, right here, you have thunderstorm activity potentially going on. You see lightning flashes already going on throughout a good amount of the upstate by noon tomorrow. And it really spreads. I mean, you're seeing lightning flashes all the way throughout from parts of the upstate to parts of the Midlands to the PD areas as well at 3 o'clock p.m. And it's going to continue to push its way down all the way through to 7 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock p.m., 9 o'clock p.m. And now you're going to have thunder activity not only going throughout, obviously, the upstate and the Midlands, but down to the low country areas, down to the PD and the Grand Strand areas. And you're really going to see it happen once you get, past Friday like afternoon, Friday evening, and even into Friday night as well. So definitely do not be surprised if you get woken up, or honestly, well, actually that's Thursday night, Friday morning. So do not be surprised if you get woken up by thunder going into Thursday night / Friday morning. And that goes on all the way through, all the way to Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, still thunderstorm activity potentially going on. As you can see, lightning flashes going on here. And then it kind of moves its way out by the time you get to around 7 o'clock p.m. on Friday. But, I mean, you still see some areas over here who still have some gray over them a little bit. Now, a lot of these aren't really as, crazy. Like, if I go back a little bit, you see over here in Mississippi, they have like some reds, some oranges, those types of things. While we're over here, we have some grays, we have some blues here and there. So we're, not too far up, really at all. But still, that just means that, this may not be like your full on, summer time, lightning show, all that kind of stuff going on. That's not what this is. But that's pretty much all that I wanted to say for the short-term future. Let's go on now and look at the long-term future. We're going to start off here at the 54-hour mark. This is where we just ended off at for the short term. And so, as we go on and look at this, all the way through around 1 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, going into around 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. You have all of that activity that we just had is now off the coast, more into like southern Georgia, northern Florida, those areas like that. And so as they go on and move off, we get a dry period going into this weekend. And so it looks like that this weekend will be dry for the most part. We go all the way through going into Sunday night, Monday morning. Things look all right until we get a little bit into like that Monday late morning, early afternoon time frame, to where you start to see some rainfall from the northwest move its way down over into the state. Now, this will come in with some cold air, and we'll talk about the cold air in just a second. But one thing that you also can see is, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it shows a little bit of a freezing rain potential, even though, like I said, 130, 140 hours out. So this could, definitely change, but it has it throughout the state. The GFS model does have it throughout the upstate, have it throughout the parts of the Midland areas as well. And then once you continue to move this forward all the way through 10 o'clock p.m., 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, we still have rainfall, but then a high pressure will show up, and that will really dry us off. Wednesday, Thursday will keep us dry. Friday, dry of next week. By the way, we're not talking about this week, we're talking about next week. Time at the bottom. Continue all the way through Saturday, Sunday, Monday of not next week Monday, but the week after next week Monday. And, we just stay dry until potentially we get into like that mid-March time frame, which we'll talk about that as well. But the main thing that I'm looking at is obviously the system for, tomorrow, going to the next couple of days, but then also as we go into next week, especially going to Monday and Tuesday. And so you might be asking, well, I see this freezing rain that you were talking about, but what's causing it? What is causing this rainfall to occur? What's causing this freezing rainfall to occur? Well, if we go on and look at the temperature anomalies, we're going to start off here Thursday, 4 o'clock in the morning. You see we're pretty above average. Pretty above average. We go all the way through Thursday, going into Friday, and then we go into Saturday. And one thing that you notice is that usually when you see cold fronts, they come from the west. So you go in and push this forward, and you see cold air coming in from the north. And then you go all the way through 7 o'clock p.m., going to Friday, going Saturday. And, it gets back to just being near normal in terms of temperatures as we go into this weekend. And so you might be asking, well, where in the world is all this above, where's all this below average temperatures coming from? Well, it is coming from a phenomena called cold air damming. Now, some people refer to it as CAD, but if you have no idea what that is, it pretty much is where cold air kind of rushes down from the north. It gets trapped in between the mountains. It brings that cooler air on the eastern side and it traps it. It has that warmer air on the western side. And usually that's what brings us, it could last like a couple of days. And so that's what could potentially bring us cooler conditions. And so this is what we're looking at right here. And so if we go on and push this forward, we go all the way through Thursday, we go through Friday. These are actual temperatures right here. And what you are noticing is you're seeing a lot of cold air trying to move its way through right here. You see Monday, we go into Tuesday, and look at all that cold air that rushes in from the north. We're seeing below freezing temperatures up there in North Carolina. This is right here at, Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the morning. And, one thing that you notice is all of that cold air that happens. You see how it's like 30s, 20s over here on the eastern North Carolina, and they're only having 40s over here on the western side? That's a clear sign right there. Very, frigid cold, but as soon as you get over to the other side of the Appalachian Mountains, it's kind of bearable, but still cold. So that's what, scenario is about to pop off as we go into Tuesday, for example, like I was saying. And it will bring us to even being below freezing here in South Carolina as you go into Tuesday, even as, late as 10 o'clock in the morning. Still freezing, maybe even 1 o'clock p.m. And so what was also at 1 o'clock p.m. that we just saw? The freezing rainfall, and maybe even a bit before that as well. Freezing temperatures with rainfall, freezing rainfall. There's your reason of why this freezing rainfall right here is here. And so that pretty much explains this whole reason as of why we are here inside of this potential freezing rainfall as we go into next week. Now, like I said, don't go around telling people that I said, oh, it's going to do some freezing rain next week. It's going to rain. It's not going to rain. It's going to, freezing rain is going to fall or anything like that. Stuff's going to accumulate. We're going to have ice. I didn't say that. I just said that the potential is there, especially with these cold temperatures being here. Would not be surprised. Now, obviously in terms of totals and stuff like that, I know it's a bit far out to do, but if we go in and look at it, total freezing rain, I mean, you see maybe max a tenth of an inch, but, nothing else too much more than that. So, if anybody was just curious to know what the models were saying now, that's what it says. Now, if we look even further into the future, past Tuesday of next week, we continue this forward all the way through. I mean, look at how much cooler than average it's going to be as that cold air damping setup takes place. I mean, we're going to be 25 to 30 degrees below average as we go into 4 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, during the afternoon time frame, 30 degrees below average. That's how far down it's going to go. We go into Wednesday, and then as we go into Thursday, Friday, once we get to around that 10 to 15 degree, above average mark here on Friday, that's where we're going to start to see things really start to ramp back up. And, even as we go into potentially mid parts of March, we may be talking about 20 to 25 degrees above average as we continue throughout this time frame. Now, if you want to talk about it more off of an actual temperature standpoint, you push this forward all the way through Tuesday, through, going to Thursday of next week. You start to see temperatures back up into the 60s and 70s, maybe even trying to get to some 80s, but, not quite there quite yet. And if we go and look at the ensembles and see what they have to say in terms of the GEFS, and for our temperatures here, let me go ahead and put this here. There we go. They also say 70s. These are models all put together, or members of one of the GFS put together. And, all the way from 1 o'clock all the way through Sunday of next weekend, for example, you see temperatures all the way back up into the high 70s again. So, we're just looking at it, just seeing stuff. Maybe a little bit of a cool down as we go into the middle parts of March, as well as, I've been talking about March severe weather, spring severe weather coming in potentially as we go into that March 10th-ish time frame. And, it kind of seemed to push itself back a little bit, but it's not necessarily all gone yet. But that's all that I have to say in terms of the long-term future. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. Starting off, my Aunt Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Let me go ahead and refresh. There we go. She also says, I pray that everyone had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for asking. My Nan says, hello, Jay. A chilly, overcast day. Same at my location as well. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Then my Aunt Lewis says, today in Georgetown, to begin with, it was cloudy. Thad says, good evening, Joseph, and the 360 weather family. I trust all is well. All is well with me. And then my Aunt Lewis says, today high was around 60 degrees. My high temperature today at my house was around a good 63. Currently, we have 54. And like I said, at my house, it's around 55. So somewhere around, pretty much, your high temperature was a little bit lower, but our current temperature is around the same. That said, it was a beautiful day today for us here in San Antonio, high in the mid-80s. We will be talking about San Antonio, especially for tomorrow. I'm honestly kind of shocked. I actually want you to go on real quick and ask Alexa what the forecast is going to be for tomorrow, because I honestly want to see what she has to say there. So I do want to hear that, because from one of the forecasts I'm about to tell you tomorrow, we'll see what she says. I just want to see. Maya Lewis says, after the clouds, we had a beautiful day. Well, thank you so much for that weather update over there in Georgetown. Thad also says, hoping to see beautiful weekend so we can get out and enjoy some great weather. You will, most likely. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for asking. And then Maya Lewis says that was a Yahoo for the middle of the week. Yes, halfway through. Mr. Chris says, please remember to go hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. Helps the channel grow, and it's free to get this information. Absolutely correct. Right now we have around 18 people tuned in and only 6 likes. 18 and only 6 likes. if you are a part of that 12 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. My Aunt Lewis says, well, actually, never mind. Mr. Chris says, currently 55 degrees here in Moncks Corner, wind chill of 52. And then question, will these warmer temperatures cause the formation of thunderstorms? Well, I mean, technically, thunderstorms can really happen in any sort of conditions, but yeah, warmer temperatures definitely can cause thunderstorms to definitely be more prominent, to be more active, more dangerous, more severe, especially once you get into like the 60s, 70s, especially like the 70s. But yeah, that could definitely be something, especially during the time frame of tomorrow. We're going to be like 10 to 15 degrees above average from what we usually are. Yeah, that definitely can happen. And Mr. Chris says, I'm happy that we are going to be dry. Well, I'm very happy about that as well, but also kind of not happy about it because, as you know, still a drought going on. So, not really, now that I think about it, probably not that happy about it. Probably not that happy about it, but we still have, to get through this drought real quick. And then I can say, yeah, now we can start getting some dryness, but, still some routine precipitation because, you don't want to just stay dry. And then another drought starts up or another area of abnormally dry pops up. By the way, the drought monitor is tomorrow, so if you want to go in and be a part of that prediction, go in and show up for that. But starting off with San Antonio, I asked Dad to go in and get his Alexa forecast, see what Alexa has to say, and see if Alexa's, is more on the conservative side, saying it's going to be more in the 80s, or is it going to be more on the more extreme side, saying more in the 90s. But my official forecast, low 58, high 91, low 61 tomorrow night. No precipitation is expected, so I'm kind of intrigued to see what he has to say, or maybe if he went on and got it already and just kept it for himself just to see what it said. But right now, I say 91. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, that's not expected for you. You're good there. And in terms of excessive rainfall for everybody, nobody has a risk for any sort of excessive rainfall. And I can even go in and check severe weather because there is indeed no risk for any sort of severe weather as well for any of these 4 areas. So we're good throughout these 4 areas of interest. In terms of your future, you will stay just relatively on the hotter side. And then once we move into next week, it may get back down to like the low 80s. But, still, that's relatively warm and it's still nice. It will be a bit breezy tomorrow. Wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. And then as we move into like Sunday of this weekend, may also be a little bit breezy as well, up to 20 miles per hour, but nothing that you haven't seen before. Then for Raleigh, low temperatures tonight at around 50, high temperatures tomorrow night at around 45, then high temperatures tomorrow during the day being around 59. Rain is expected not only tonight, but also tomorrow, and there's a chance of rainfall tomorrow night as well. Now, severe weather, excessive rainfall, like I said, for all 4 locations, not expected. But as you move more and more into like Thursday, Friday, obviously that rainfall threat is there. As you move into the weekend, you will dry out. But as you get into next week, as soon as you get out of that weekend, Monday comes along and you have a chance of rainfall. Already a 50% chance of rain on Monday. So, you already, as soon as you get back into that work week, you're back in the chance for rainfall. Now, what about for your temperatures for the future? You actually will warm up. Sunday, 70 degrees. Won't last long, though, because as you get into Monday, going to drop back down to 55. So, not going to last long on that little warm up as you get into this weekend. But at least for now, it looks like that you will be trying to get some relief from this cold air. Then for Philadelphia, low temperatures tonight at 33, high temperatures tomorrow at 40, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 24. Precipitation not expected for tonight, but tomorrow there is a chance of rain and potential snow, like a mix going on tomorrow. Tomorrow night, no precipitation. Now, in terms of temperatures for your future, looks like that you will also be just back inside of that 50-40 range, and then you will drop back down very far. In fact, your high temperature potentially going into next week Monday could potentially be 30 degrees. So it's going to continue to kind of just drop, especially once you get into Monday. In fact, a chance of snow pretty much Monday night, going even Monday during the day potentially as well, going all the way into Tuesday. So you're definitely not done with that chance of snow as you go throughout like Monday going into Tuesday. Then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 49, high temperatures tomorrow at 76, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 44. Precipitation not really expected for tonight and tomorrow. You will have a chance for it this weekend, 20% Saturday going all the way through Sunday. Then once as you get into Sunday night, 40%, Monday 30%, Tuesday 50%, Wednesday 60%. So, it probably will be a pretty active week for you next week in terms of rainfall wise. Now, for your temperatures for the future, looks like that you will also be trying to warm up as well until you get into the work week to where things will start to cool right back down into the 60s again. But that's all for these 4 areas. What's going on right now throughout the entire U.S., that includes South Carolina, that includes these 4 areas, weather news-wise? Well, for right now, let me go ahead and get it. There it is. Dry and breezy conditions prevail across the high plains, where elevated to locally critical conditions continue through Thursday. Meanwhile, record warmth increases and spreads across the south, southwest, and into Southern California into this last weekend of February. Meanwhile, a fast-moving system moves across the plains and then off the mid-Atlantic by Thursday evening. So a lot of things to talk about. We do have lake wind advisories going on right now for actually a good amount over there near Lake Moultrie. All the lakes throughout the CSRA areas, throughout the Midlands, those areas. So definitely make sure you're paying attention for that, especially as breezy conditions start to move their way through. And then also there will be some wind advisories going on right now for parts of Louisiana and parts of southeastern Texas. And then for the most part, I think that's about all that I can see here in terms of conditions throughout the U.S. There are some other stuff, but it's not really anything too crazy. But I don't see anything else here. Let's go ahead and check out the chat. Miss Chris says, yes, that's my location. I'm 2 blocks away from the lake. We'll make sure that, anybody that's going to be out there on it. Or, if you're near it, make sure that you're paying attention for that. And then for the most part, that's all I can see here. So top fans of the night for tonight. If you have no idea what the top fans of the night are, it's pretty much a thing that we do for fun to where we see who is the top fans of the night, rather be, you have to be active for, you have to be a subscriber, you have to be here early, and you have to be here at 9 o'clock p.m. if you want to go in and do, and be a part of this thing that we do here, this award that we kind of give out every night. So starting off, it's just back and forth still between Mr. Chris and my Aunt Lula again. Let me go ahead and count them up real quick. 10, I see round 10 here, and I see right here around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It was actually a tie between both of them. But since my Aunt Lula was here first, she gets the number 1 spot. So, that's, stuff that happens. That's why I say being here early, that counts. It goes on to that count. So so she's first. Ms. Chris at number 2. And then Thad's at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. And that's all I really have to say for tonight. So make sure that you tune back in tomorrow morning for your Thursday morning forecast update. Also here tomorrow night for your Thursday evening. We'll be talking about the drop monitor tonight. Also hit the subscribe button. We're at 710 now, so we're now 90 subscribers away from 800. 10th of the way there. 15 away from a quarter of the way, that being 725. So let's go ahead and get there. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, and I'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you hit those two buttons before you leave.